Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure: all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure: trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation, as well as the topics of the channel, which I'll go through in just a moment. And I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @DougPless. The focus of my presentation today, and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel, is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as a directional bias. And the second step of my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be talking about setups in an underlying asset. For example, the S&P 500 setups can be taken with ES futures, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, or even ES options. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel in Discord, as well as the chat in YouTube for your questions and comments. Please feel free to post, and I will do my best to answer your question. All right, here's my agenda for today, Monday, October 30th. First of all, I want to cover news items for the week. That would be economic data, events, and earnings. Then I'll go through my positional analysis, my planning process for today. Then I'll review some setups from this morning. And then we'll take a look at the live market. When I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's get started with news items. So first of all, really nothing today. Tomorrow, and I'm going to cover just the high impact events as well as earnings for the stocks that I follow and trade. Of course, there are many earnings reports this week. I'm just going to mention a couple of them. So Monday, today, really no economic data releases. Tomorrow, there is consumer confidence number coming out at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And then AMD reports after the market closes. On Wednesday, first of all, the PMI, there's PMI data that comes out at 10 a.m. And then the big event for the week is the FOMC announcement. So the announcement is at 2 p.m. That's during my session. And then the press conference begins at 2:30 p.m. Just as my session will end. And so that is the big event for the week. Then on Thursday, Apple reports earnings after the market closes. And then on Friday, the next big event for the week is the jobs report. That's at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Also, there's more PMI data out at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. All right, so that is the week ahead. Big event on Wednesday again, FOMC announcement. All right, let's take a look at the positional analysis today. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. This is the ES futures and Bookmap. Very choppy day, range day. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a larger time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX in a 30-day, 1-hour chart. Let me point out just a couple of key events. This was the jobs report for September, October 6th. Gamma squeeze after that. Then let's see, I think over that weekend, that was the, might have been the Hamas invasion of Israel. Anyway, the market did not make it up much higher. Interest rates increasing, the geopolitical situation, and the market rolled over. This is the October expiration. Very negative gamma, put dominated. The expectation was for a put Vana rally that really only lasted a couple of days, and now the market has moved lower again with the treasury yields being an issue as well as the geopolitical situation. All right, let me point out some levels on this chart. First of all, the lower and upper weekly expected move. These are shown by the dashed purple lines. This is based on the options market, the expected move for the week. So I do that once over the weekend, and that those levels remain the same for the entire week. Then the dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move. That changes every day. And note that SPX is trading up toward the upper daily expected move for the week. All right, let's take a look at the Spotgamma levels. These are proprietary Spotgamma levels based on gamma-weighted open interest that are provided to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of platforms. This is Thinkorswim. So let me point out the key daily levels. First of all, here's the 4,000 level. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's a strike with the largest absolute negative and positive gamma. That is where most of the gamma-weighted open interest is concentrated. The next level up is the put wall. That's at 4,100. That's a strike with the largest net negative gamma that can be expected to act as support. If it doesn't, of course, the next level down is 4,000. And so far, the 4,100 level has done its job. And note that it did not shift lower from last week. It remains at 4,100. The next level up is 4,300. That's the volatility trigger. That is Spotgamma's proprietary gamma flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility and can lead to fairly unstable markets. And note that SPX is trading well below its volatility trigger. The next level up is the call wall at 4,600. That's the strike with the largest net positive gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. And that's really far out of play today, and the call wall has been moving around quite a bit. Really the force driving the market today is the put domination in this negative gamma environment. So the call wall is not significant up at that level. So those are the key daily levels. And note the potential range is very wide, 4,100 to 4,600. All right, the only shift in level for SPX was the call wall shifting lower from an even more unimportant 4,800 level to 4,600. All right, so those are the key daily levels for SPX. Let's just take a look at a one-day chart just to get a closer look at the levels that are in play for today. Going to zoom in just on today here. So here's the upper daily expected move. More or less acted as resistance before, and now SPX is up at that level again. This is also combo L5 level at 4150. Acted as resistance midday there. All right, let's take a look at Bookmap now. Go back to ES futures. So in the ES futures, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels as well as SPY levels. So there's that SPX 4150 level that I pointed out, that it acted as resistance 3 times earlier today, or 4 depending on how you look at it. And now after 1 p.m. SPX or ES moved up pretty sharply up to this 4165, close to the 4165 level. That's SPX, that it acted as resistance more or less, maybe just a little bit below at that level. Also above the upper daily expected move for ES. That's the ES upper daily expected move. And then here's the SPY 415 level. That's a large gamma 2 level, combining, no, that's just SPY gamma level at that 415 level. So I have SPX levels, SPY levels, as well as other key ES levels on this chart. Note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it is around, it's somewhere between 19 and 20. I'm using 20. So ES minus SPX is 20 today. And I have been posting all the ratios that I use every day in the in Bookmap Discord in the Options-Doug chat channel, in case anyone else wants to show these levels on their chart. So this is how I look at the ES in terms of SPY and SPX levels, both round number levels and also Spotgamma levels for SPY and SPX. All right, so levels in play. No direct contact other than this 4150 level acting as resistance. All right, let's take a look at, actually let me just wrap up with the shifts in levels for SPY. So for SPY, the volatility trigger did shift higher from 425 to 429. Also the call wall shifted lower pretty dramatically from 460 down to 414. So that is actually shown here. This may be difficult to see, but there are 2 white lines. So that SPY 415 level lines up pretty closely with the SPX 4150 level. And that is very unusual to have that call down below the volatility trigger. For you Spotgamma subscribers, there was a discussion in the Spotgamma AM Founders note about that this morning. Again, somewhat unusual, and we're really focused more on puts and the put location of the put wall and the put domination in this very negative gamma environment. And I would imagine that that should resolve this location of the call wall in the next few days, certainly after the FOMC announcement. All right, so the S&P 500 staging a late day rally. Call wall shifted lower for SPX and SPY, and then the SPY volatility trigger shifted higher. All right, let's take a look at Nasdaq now. Choppy session in Nasdaq as well. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. Let's just take a quick look at, first of all, a QQQ chart, so we can isolate the QQQ levels in play for today. No strong resistance or support. Note 350 is the absolute gamma strike. And there's a combo level just below that. That combines QQQ and NDX gamma weighted open interest into one level and shown in an equivalent QQQ price. So that's QQQ. Choppy day. Let's take a look at NDX. And here's that combo level in NDX. Let's go back to Bookmap. So in Bookmap, just like in NQ futures, just like the ES futures, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show a combination of levels in one column. Here are my cloud notes. So there's the QQQ 350 level. And note my NDX levels are not correct. The Spotgamma is not updating the levels on the home page that I use every day. I need to send a screenshot to them to their Spotgamma support. All right, so that is the QQQ 350 level. And this is also the NQ, upper daily expected move. And there was a sharp move higher at the open, I'm sure everyone is aware, and the NQ traded up above the upper daily expected move and then reversed pretty sharply lower. All right, so those are the levels in play for Nasdaq. As far as shifts in levels, the only level that shifted was the put wall for QQQ shifted higher from 340 to 345. So I interpret that as somewhat bullish. Is the put wall shifted higher for QQQ. Also the put walls held for the SPX and SPY. All right, let's talk about gamma notional now. See how market makers were positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. What I'm going to take a look at is gamma notional here. Again, this is how market makers are positioned on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. And I'm looking at SPX, SPY, NDX, QQQ, RUT, and IWM. The only number that really is not significant here is NDX. So we'll take a look at the other numbers. Note all these numbers are negative, quite negative, especially for SPY, also SPX, QQQ negative, and IWM. So what this means for the S&P 500, Nasdaq, and Russell 2000, traders are long puts, market makers are short puts, and they have to trade in the direction of price to hedge their delta exposure. And that tends to lead to more volatility, more unstable markets. All right, there were some shifts in these in the gamma notional levels. First of all, for the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, the gamma notional became slightly less negative than Friday, and just the opposite for the Russell 2000. Gamma notional became slightly more negative. All right, let's take a look at the Vana model now, and we can get a graphical representation of what this means. Let me just check one thing here. So SPX low of the day was right around 41.33. All right, let's go back to the Vana model for SPX. All right, what this chart is showing is delta notional. This is market makers' delta exposure on the vertical axis, price on the horizontal axis for SPX. There are two curves on this chart. The first, the light gray curve, shows how market makers' delta notional changes with changes in price only. The purple curve adds implied volatility to the equation. That shows how market makers' delta notional changes with changes in price and implied volatility. And that change in change in delta with a change in implied volatility is the Vana effect. Vana is a second order Greek. So again, that is the change in delta with the change in implied volatility. So that's the curve that we want to take a look at. All right, let's take a look at some prices now. So first of all, the low of the day. Looking for 41.33. Somewhere between these 2 points. And this is a very unusual curve to have the entire curve sloping up from right to left. And this is typical of a negative gamma environment, and they're depending on what Jerome Powell has to say on Wednesday, there should be some relief to this very negative gamma situation. Of course, we'll see more on Wednesday. All right, so what this is showing is as price increases, market makers' delta notional decreases, so price is increasing. Delta notional is decreasing, and they can buy back short futures. So remember, in this part of the gamma curve, market makers are trading with price to hedge their delta exposure. So if price increases, implied volatility drops, they can buy back their short hedges. We'll see where SPX is trading now. $41.67. And this is not following my cursor very well. All right, so you can see that market makers' delta notional has been decreasing as price increases, and they can buy back short futures. Let's just take a look at VIX. So this is the VIX futures. Oops. And it really started to decrease around 11:15. Somewhere between 11:15 and 11:30. Made a lower high, then really started to move lower just around 12:30, 12:45. All right, so we know now that price is increasing, implied volatility dropping, market makers are buying back short futures. All right, let's take a look at the Vana model for SPY. SPY low of the day right around 412, 412.50, somewhere around here. Currently trading about 3 points higher. So not quite as dramatic as the SPX curve, but market makers, as prices increasing, have been able to buy back short futures. Let's take a look at QQQ. Low of the day in QQQ around 346.50. Somewhere around here, and very similar. Now this does work both ways. So if price continues to drop, market makers' delta notional will increase, and they will have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure. And for QQQ, this would be for options traders, if they are buying puts, market makers sell the puts, and they have to sell NQ futures to hedge their delta exposure. All right, let's take a look at some setups now. So this chart is the hero chart for S&P 500. Hero is hedging impact real-time options. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. What this chart is showing is price for SPX, that's the white line, and then the hero signal, that's the purple line. Again, hedging impact real-time options, showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal for SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures, all onto one combined signal. All right, so using this, we can take a look at a couple setups. I'm going to zoom in on this chart. Let's go to the morning session. So the first setup, and we'll go take a look at these in Bookmap in a minute, was this divergent short. Just after 9:50, options traders started taking negative delta positions as the S&P 500 moved up toward that upper daily expected move, and then price responded a few minutes later. All right, so that's the first setup, a short setup. Let's zoom back out. And then really more chop since then for several hours, and then options traders started taking positive delta positions again right around 12:45. Note this flow alert, often a mean reverting alert. That's the way Brent, the founder of Spotgamma, uses these quite often, and he's the one who developed these. So the flow alert indicating potential reversal point. They can also confirm a trend, and or you just have to watch Hero, and I watch Bookmap to make a decision. But anyway, in this case, it acted as more of a mean reversal higher, as options traders started taking positive delta positions. And that was right around 12:45. All right, so let's go to look at Bookmap. We're looking at a short in the morning, then a long in the afternoon. Let's zoom in on this a bit. All right, so here's the morning short. Note all the aggressive buyers. These are shown by the green volume dots. The volume dots are showing market buy minus sell. And when there are more buyers than sellers, the volume dot is green. When there are more sellers than buyers, the market dot is magenta. So note more aggressive sellers coming in. So everybody's on one side of the boat here from the cash open. You can see the rising cumulative volume delta. That's the dark blue line. Also buy stop orders helping to fuel the move higher. And then note that large traders were fading that move with iceberg orders. That's shown by the falling light blue line. Not large size, but they were selling into strength. They use iceberg orders to hide their size. And then as options traders, remember options traders started taking negative delta positions, and price moved lower. So that's the short setup from this morning. Pretty typical pattern for the last few days. And then finally the chop resolves higher right around 12:45. Again, everybody on one side of the boat, sellers, shown by all the magenta volume dots. Then price starts to make higher lows as traders were taking positive delta positions. And then the buy stop orders, shown by the rising yellow line, as well as aggressive buyers, shown by the rising dark blue line, move price higher, as well as traders taking positive delta positions. Back up above the highs of the day so far. All right, let's go back and take a look and see what options traders are doing. What I want to do now is kind of slice and dice this a bit. First of all, take a look at puts and calls, see what traders are doing. So what this is showing is in the morning, traders were buying puts. That's shown by the falling blue line. Blue is for puts. Shown in the direction of delta. So falling blue line indicates negative delta. Traders are buying puts. Sorry about that. That's what I'm afraid of. And then let's take a quick look at this move this afternoon. So they were buying puts. They stopped, start selling puts, also start buying calls, and price starts to move higher. And Spotgamma has pointed out when both of the lines are moving in the same direction, that's a very powerful signal. Traders at this point are buying calls and selling puts. Market makers taking the opposite side, so they have to buy futures to hedge their delta exposure. Also, their delta exposure due to the put Vana is decreasing, so they are also buy back short futures due to the increase in price and the decrease in decrease in implied volatility. So the put Vana rally combined with what traders are doing, helping to fuel this move higher, as well as aggressive buyers that we saw in Bookmap. And let's just take a look at next expiry, which would, for the S&P 500, this would be the 0 DTE options that expire today, and that is not, that's making up less than half of the total notional value today. That's shown by the green line, and I'm looking at the notional value here. So really traders are taking options positions that expire further out than today. That's shown by all trades by the purple line. So that just adds a little bit of additional context. All right, so short setup in the morning, then long setup in the afternoon. Took some patience. All right, let's take a look at Nasdaq now. All right, in Nasdaq, there was a clear divergent short this morning. Pretty much from the open, traders were taking negative delta positions as price was increasing, and then price responded lower as traders were taking negative delta positions. And just like the S&P 500, they were buying puts, shown by the falling blue line. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Go to Nasdaq. So here's the reversal lower in Nasdaq. Let's zoom in on this. So it was a little bit more clear to see when I was zoomed out more, but note everybody on one side of the boat. Aggressive buyers from the open. Remember, options traders were taking negative delta positions. They were fading the move higher. Also, large traders also fading the move higher with iceberg orders, shown by the falling light blue line. On the other hand, aggressive buyers in there, that's shown by the green volume dots, as well as the rising CVD line, the dark blue, and then also buy stop orders, shown by the rising yellow line, also fueling that move higher. It runs out of steam as traders were taking negative delta positions and aggressive sellers start to come in. And Nasdaq makes a series of lower highs, finally reversing just below the upper daily expected move. Again, remember, traders were taking negative delta positions in Nasdaq. And just a note, when I'm trading, I'm looking at, I have multiple screens. So my main computer, I have 2 screens. So I'm looking at either ES or NQ or whatever I'm trading, Bookmap on one screen and Hero on another screen. So, of course, I'm only presenting on one screen, so I have to jump back and forth. But when I'm trading, I'm actually looking at one screen or 2 screens at the same time. All right, so this is the afternoon setup, right around the same time as S&P 500. And at first it kind of looked like the same chop, but then finally a lot of aggressive buyers start to come in just around 115 or so. Let's see what options traders were doing. So there were several ups and downs in the hero signal, and this one finally takes hold around 12:45. Traders start taking positive delta positions. Let's just see what they were doing with puts and calls. So they started buying calls and really somewhat took their foot off the gas from they were buying puts, and then that activity leveled off. They started buying calls. Not quite as clear as the signal in the S&P 500. Let's just take a look at one other thing. There's a new signal for the Magnificent 7. And these are the 7 stocks that have been driving the markets, both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, for most of this year. It's a combined signal for Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla. Sometimes it acts as a leading indicator. This is fairly new, something that Spotgamma just introduced. So it took a while. The options traders in the Magnificent 7 really didn't start taking positive delta positions until price was already increasing. So not much of a leading indicator today for this last move higher, but still an important signal indicating that right around 120, let's say, traders start taking positive delta positions in those 7 stocks. All right, any questions? All right, let's take a look at some stocks now. And I did post this in Discord. I called it a tale of 2 stocks, Microsoft and Tesla. And Wavy asked, how much does Spotgamma cost? Just go to the Spotgamma website. And the last time I checked, there were 3 levels of subscription. And this hero signal is included with Spotgamma Alpha. So the last time I checked, they had a standard pro and alpha subscription, and I'm not sure what the prices are. So you'll have to go to spotgamma.com, and you should see the pricing there. All right, let's take a look at a couple stocks. So again, I mentioned Microsoft and Tesla, tale of 2 stocks. First of all, here's Microsoft. Going to separate out puts and calls. So the rising line is showing that traders were buying calls aggressively in the morning, buying calls, driving price higher when traders buy calls in a stock. market makers sell the calls and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. Sorry about that. Try again. So also they were really not doing much with puts in the morning. Blue line pretty flat. Aggressively buying calls. That levels off, price starts to drop. They start buying calls again. They are also selling puts. It takes a while for the price to respond. But net for the day, both lines are positive. So the net for the day, they are selling puts and buying calls. So bullish options trades in Microsoft today. So that's the first setup. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. No gamma levels, no spot gamma levels in play. So let's go with Bookmap. Take a look at Microsoft. Very bullish morning in Microsoft. Sharp jump higher from right around the 333 level all the way to 338. Note the liquidity in the order book shown by the darker colors, orange to red, that comes in at the cash open, typically at the round number levels. And price quickly made it up to the 338 level and reversed lower as call buyers started to take their foot off the gas. And Wavy says, I see, thank you, you're welcome. Hero could be very useful to me as an options trader. Yes, I think no matter what you trade, whether you're trading equities or equity index futures, I think Hero is a great help. Gives you a pretty significant edge. All right, so that's Microsoft. Very strong opening trade as traders are buying calls. All right, let's take a look at the other stock. That's Tesla. And they are just hammering Tesla today. All right, let's go take a look at Hero. Down from 210 to 195. Let's go to Hero, see what options traders have been doing. So we know again that traders are buying calls in Microsoft, helping to drive price higher. Take a look at Tesla now. Let's see what Tesla options traders have been doing, and they were buying puts. So just about 10 minutes after the open, initially they were buying calls and selling puts. That stopped just 10 minutes after the cash open. Started aggressively buying puts, stopped buying calls, and price moved lower. So just the opposite of Microsoft, when traders buy puts, market makers sell the puts, and they have to sell stock to hedge their delta exposure. And Tesla moved lower than its 200 put wall key gamma strike. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So here's the 200 key gamma strike put wall. There was some consolidation at this level. And price finally continued lower. Let me just tone down these volume dots just a little bit. So 200, the put wall, the key gamma strike. A little bit of consolidation there. Then that level became resistance. That's what happened with SPX last week. Break below the put wall, and then it becomes resistance. All right, so there's Tesla. Let's go back to Hero. So actually net for the day, traders are buying calls. The orange notional value, that is positive, but the put buyers are definitely in control and they're more aggressive. All right, one other stock I wanted to take a look at. So that was really the most interesting. Amazon. And what I saw in this in the morning was this divergent short, but that Hero started moving lower. Price responded, and looking out at the big picture, the setup today for Amazon was really a long. Let's go take a look at Bookmap. So a better setup today is the long in Amazon. Here's the short that I was talking about, that divergent short at 132. You can see the aggressive sellers starting to come in, shown by the magenta volume dots, and absorption at that level. Again, the liquidity that comes in at the cash open. Those are limit sell orders. All right, does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Otherwise, we'll go back to the S&P 500. Looks like it may be finding resistance at the 4165 level. That level was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders note. Let's just zoom in a bit. Note the heat map and Bookmap showing all of these sellers. These are, again, limit sell orders above price. Also, iceberg orders, large sellers selling with iceberg orders. That's shown by the falling light blue line in the subchart, as well as that icon right there. 560 contracts and 3 executed in 3 transactions. As buy stop orders fuel that move higher up into that liquidity. So a little bit of a stop run up into that liquidity, and then large traders start to come in with iceberg orders to sell that move higher. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go back to Hero. Go to the S&P 500. Zoom in on this. So as prices reach that high level again, options traders are starting to fade it. Options traders can often have a mean reverting influence on price, and that's what's happening today. Options traders are buying weakness, selling strength. Often that happens at key levels. Again, there's a flow alert indicating potential mean reversion activity. The flow alert basically just signifies significant options activity and hedging activity. But the research that Spotgamma has done indicates these can also often be signal of a potential reversal. So that's the way the alerts have acted today on the S&P 500. Let's just separate out puts and calls again. Remember, we noted earlier with this reversal higher, traders started selling puts and buying calls, and now note that has reversed. So now they're selling calls and buying puts, both lines moving in the same direction, lower. Sorry about that, nothing I did. All right, Shane wants to take a look at TLT. So I don't have TLT in Bookmap, but we can take a look in Hero here. So that's an ETF that tracks the 20-year Treasury. I don't want to know what happened. Could be faster. Tracks the 20-year Treasury, 20-plus year. All right, so starting about 10 a.m., traders were taking negative delta positions as TLT started moving lower. So TLT is may have a moderate options market, certainly nothing on the order of magnitude of the S&P 500 or even Nasdaq. So the notional value for the S&P 500, for example, is in the billions typically. Could be anywhere up to 6 or 7 billion on the high side. And here this is TLT options traders, notional options trades. Notional value negative for the day at minus 29 million. So options traders are taking negative delta positions in TLT, although that activity did stop right around 1050 or so. Now it has shifted to slightly positive. Looks like TLT is moving higher, so yields would be moving lower. All right, so there you go, Shane. So right now, traders are taking positive delta positions in TLT. Let's go back to the S&P 500. All right, so it may be shifting higher again. Options traders may be starting to take positive delta positions again. Let's take a look at Nasdaq. So they were definitely taking negative delta positions starting just before 2 o'clock. Take a look at the Magnificent 7. I need to pin that. All right, so the Magnificent 7, that has the hero signal has not dropped as dramatically as Nasdaq. Separate out puts and calls. So for a while there, starting right around 1 o'clock, they were buying calls, and a few minutes later, 20 minutes later, started selling puts. Now those lines have leveled off. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. So right now the S&P 500 just consolidating between the SPY 415 level and the SPX 4185. Take a look at Nasdaq. All right, Nasdaq just below the QQQ 349 level. Large traders continue to sell into strength with iceberg orders, not large size. So one thing to note is tomorrow and probably Wednesday morning, probably best to expect price action like this, and then some resolution up or down out of this range after the FOMC announcement. So that is probably what everyone is waiting on, is the FOMC announcement and press conference. So really expect more of the range until then, more of this type of price action, unless something else comes up, unless there's a significant move in treasuries and yields or in the geopolitical situation. Got a couple minutes left. Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? Last call for stocks. Questions? All right, so we looked at good short and long setups in both the S&P 500 and Nasdaq, confirmed by options traders with Hero, as well as order flow and Bookmap. Again, that was both the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq. And Caleb wants to take a look at Netflix. I've got Netflix now and Bookmap. We can take a look at that. Netflix bullish day. Let's see what options traders are doing. Let's go to Netflix. Very bullish day in Netflix. 400 key gamma strike acting as support this morning. Sorry, I should have shown this one earlier. This is a good setup. And Caleb says the 400 level seems key. Yes, it was. That is the key gamma strike. So good choice of words there, key gamma strike. Note the flow alerts. A couple of flow alerts right at the open. And traders have been buying calls and selling puts in Netflix today. All right, let's go back. Take a look at Bookmap. Again, very bullish day in Netflix. Thanks for pointing that out, Caleb. There's the 400 level. Acted as support this morning, the 400 key gamma strike. And traders have been taking positive delta positions, buying calls and selling puts. All right, I need to wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you very much for your questions and comments. And remember, tomorrow, consumer confidence at 10, AMD reports after the close. And we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.